Hillsborough County Secondary Music Hall of Fame. You're a member of that group. In 2006, am I right?
2010.
2010.
First
Okay.
time they had an orchestra director inducted, and I was that person.
How did that feel to you? When was it unexpected, or
It was unexpected.
was it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was because I had retired.
Ah, that's right.
That's why it was so unexpected,
Yeah.
and didn't exactly know what to say. They called me up to speak. I thanked them
Yeah.
and thanked the parents because I said this award really belongs to the parents because if it weren't for them and their backing, the orchestra wouldn't be what it was.
On that list of 24 members, there are 3 women. The rest are men.
Well, I'll talk to you about it.
Well, yeah, and that and one other thing, but that and then I want to ask you one
Okay.
other thing.
When I first got the job here at Brandon, um, our first, they have meetings every quarter, the music people, and then you have like your FOA meeting, Florida Orchestra Association, your Florida Bandmasters,
Right.
and they meet separately, different times. But we always had the music, the high school music people,
Mm-hmm.
and then you broke up into choir and instrumental. And it was an in-service meeting where we would go and we would learn stuff or discuss stuff, and that usually it was about football games, and what their marching bands were doing.
Right.
Well, the very first one I went to, up until I guess it was April, and nobody would talk to me. They were all men. I was the only woman there, except for Lonnie and Ed James. They always, Lonnie worked with me. He better talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
And Ed was my mentor, and he talked to me. And the others would look at me like, you know, and the music supervisor would nod, hello, and that would be it. And it was miserable, but I had to go.
Yeah.
So then I went to contest. Now we didn't have a district because there were no orchestras. So you automatically got bumped up to state.
Yeah.
So we went to state and I got ones. We came back and I saw the music supervisor that same week. He said, I never thought you'd make it, but you're just one of the guys. Slapping me on the back, and I thought, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, and when I went to the next music meeting, hey Linda, how you doing? Congratulations and from then on, they were my friends.
And if you'd just been a teacher, if you're a math teacher or a English teacher, it would have been different because there were more women teaching. But if you were walking into a man's world,
oh yeah,
going into
conducting,
yes, especially
there was when I was young. I couldn't have conducted an orchestra professionally. It just wasn't done.
Right.
And in fact, it wasn't until I guess the 60s or 70s that they allowed women in the orchestra because they might become pregnant and have to have a child.
You hear Leonard Bernstein talking in 1940 and 1950 and always the gentlemen of the orchestra.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not the ladies and gentlemen of the orchestra.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I bring it up is because, see, it didn't matter to me what your gender was. I mean, I didn't think about it because you were there, you were leading a program that was successful, a program I wanted to be part of. It just didn't cross my mind.
Your generation, I think, started changing the attitudes. And part of it had to do, and believe me, this is wild, Aliens with Sigourney Weaver as the hero.
I thought you meant aliens from the...
No.
Okay, the movie Aliens. Okay.
Yeah, the movie Aliens.
Yeah.
Put her in a position, she led them in, and little kids seeing that, not little, but junior high kids seeing that, it's okay, and
yeah,
she's cool.
Yeah, what I think is so important about you going through that in the very beginning, still building a good program, but not the kids, it didn't matter to the kids.
No.
You didn't make it an issue for the kids because it wasn't part of teaching. I mean, it was it was something that needed to be learned for the future, but in the classroom, you didn't make it an issue, so we never thought about it.
Yeah.
What are you most proud of when it comes to teaching?
Uh, what my kids have become. I check them out on Facebook. I don't always comment, but I've got a Catholic priest, Episcopal priest, a Methodist minister, I think a Baptist minister. I think that was his, and um, a submarine skipper that he's probably retired now,
Wow.
and the captain of, I don't know, Brian Drapp. I don't know what he was the captain of, but he was a captain
I
in
know
the
Brian.
Navy.
Yeah.
Lots of music teachers
Mm-hmm.
and successful ones.
Mm-hmm.
One young lady that played flute is somewhere up in New England as a music supervisor, which I think is great.
Mm-hmm.
I have a clarinetist that I think it's the University of Alabama, Birmingham, that is the clarinet professor there. And Mike Ippolito, I don't know if you know Michael. Mm-hmm. He's a composer, and he's had his.
He wrote for the Florida Orchestra. He wrote a
yes,
piece.
He did.
Yeah. Okay.
I
do know who he is.
And he's done something in I think Germany and France, and quite a successful composer.
Mm-hmm.
He composed something for us once.
Oh, that's nice. What?
I don't remember the name of it, but we did it. And I told the audience, I said, "Remember this young man's name."
You were right,
because he had such a talent then. And kids that care about other kids, I mean, adults that care about kids. A lot of them have kids in orchestra programs and band programs somewhere, and they've turned out to be good people.
Yeah.
And I hope I had some part of that in their upbringing.
Well, when I read social media, I see the people who comment, whether they're musicians today or they're just remembering their 3 or 4 years in school as a musician. And I think they remember it fondly in big part because of you. And I think, it goes back to what I said at the beginning, that music can inspire us, but the person who's connected to that music, I think, inspires us the most.
Lonnie Keene he always had this to say: there are no such things as good and bad bands, only good and bad band directors. It holds true for orchestra as well.
Yeah. So what is music for you now? What are you doing these days?
I play in the Eastern Hillsborough Community Band. Okay. It's a nice hobby. Lately, I've been singing in the church choir, although I used to play in the church group.
Church orchestra? Or
well, there's no strings.
Kind of a band, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, and Woody, who you went to school with, and I always knew as Hal Bodden. Yeah. Woody. Yeah. I found out later everybody called him Woody. But he and I both played, and there was one horn part, so why double it? And he's so dependable that I said, well, he can handle it. I don't need to be doing it. He was one of my students, so it's easy to give it up for a student.
Right.
Let him be successful.
Yeah, and you're still connected, and he, even though he has gone into another field, still plays his French horn for the love of music.
Oh, yeah, we share a stand at the band.
Yeah.
The Eastern Hillsborough Band. We have a concert Thursday night.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I think people are going to really enjoy. So they know so much about you, but I'm sure there are things they don't know. So that was the whole idea.
Yeah.
You could share some of that with so many people who love you, and you've done such a great thing for them in music that they carry with them for the rest of their lives.
I hope so. I always said I'm not building musicians, I'm building an audience. And those that don't play anymore, they will recognize what they have played when they hear it.
Linda Groh's audience is still there.
Yeah. Okay.
That's